So in 2018, there were 8 complaints, and all 8 resulted in no violations. In 2019, there were 16 complaints. 14 of those resulted in no violations. And 2020, these are still pending. There were 3 complaints. So the bulk of them are resulting in no violations, and you feel confident that this has been a fair process all around and protective of the interests of the people of Guam?
I do, and if you look at each individual case, again, some of them are dismissed because of the wrong board. The other ones, we investigate as a whole on top of having the individual. So if someone has a significant conflict, as is the board makes that decision, they are recused from any involvement with those individual cases. But we discuss cases in a public format, inviting all the parties involved. We typically look for the lowest level of resolution as much as possible. And when we say that some of the complaints were found without violation, that doesn't mean that action didn't take place. For example, somebody might be required to take a course or required monitoring. And then when they finish, then the case is allowed to proceed. It doesn't mean that no action was taken per se. It means that in the end, the person's license was not, we didn't find any reason to do anything further. And as you can see by the numbers, it varies a great deal. 8 to 18, in the years in the past, it was even like 2016, 2017. Again, the numbers were relatively low. And then 2019, for whatever reason, the number of complaints shot up. And then we've only had 3 to date, and we're halfway through the year. And I don't believe that COVID affected that. So, by the way, one of those cases is still being investigated, is the one that I mentioned. So anyway, do I think that they were fairly adjudicated? I do. And I remind everyone that I sit here as the chairman in this capacity right now, this part of this meeting, as the chairperson of the committee, but that all of our cases are heard by the entire board, and that the votes as to whether or not the voting is done by the entire board, not by me. And in point of fact, as Mr. Weinberg would tell you, we are required to vote. So nobody doesn't vote. Everybody is required to vote. So, and I will tell you also, I think in looking at, because I am part of the Federation of State Medical Boards as a fellow, the vast majority of cases are found in favor of the physician. And that doesn't mean that boards are not adjudicating them fairly. It's just it's a matter of fact that most of the complaints do not result in a level that violates the state mandates that exist, including the Medical Practices Act. You have to, the standards are pretty clear, and it just is a reality that the majority don't end up reaching that level. In fact, I would say a fair number of our cases are brought to us to bring situations to the attention of the board, asking us to address them with the provider. And a fair number will specifically state, I don't want anything punitive to happen to the physician. I just think that this needs to be addressed. It may have to do with, say, bedside manner or communication issues. Those are the types of things that we often face. And so the complainant wasn't specifically asking us to be punitive, if you will.
All right, thank you, Dr. Berg. There were only 3 other questions that I asked the HPLO office and the public health and the board chairs to answer. I'm just going to state these out loud right now. And again, my colleagues can find the answers on the written response. It was whether the HPLO had received a report from malpractice insurance companies as required by 10 GCA 12212. And the answer was no. No reports had been received by the malpractice insurance companies. We asked the status of compliance by the Board of Medical Examiners with the Public Law 3184, the Patient Protection Thorough Information Act, and this is an act that required them to put on their website certain information about physicians. And their answer was that they have awarded a contract for website services that is going to be putting up the required information. Is that correct, Xenia, Ms. Pacina?
Yes, that is correct. But currently, we are compliant in regards to updating the names of the physicians that are currently licensed on Guam, and then certain things that are required through the Sunshine Reform Act of '99. So we do have like their name, their primary work address, work phone number, specialty, initial date of licensure, license status, and board certifications. So that can currently be found at our DPHSS website. But in regards to all the other information that we would like to put or have available for the public, that will be built into with the new contract. Correct. And that took us quite a long time to get as well.
Okay, so some information for the open government law is on the public health website, and that's the general information about practitioners. This Patient Protection Thorough Information Act required that within 4 working days, information should be put on the internet, including any enforcement actions taken against a licensee, including a former licensee by the board or by another state board or licensing jurisdiction. And then it lists 7 specific items. All right, and then moving on to the next topic is the final topic. I asked about Board of Medical Examiners compliance with the Interstate Licensure Compact Act, which was Public Law 34-73. And they've responded that they've implemented this in November 2019. So it took a few years, but I've seen it in action during one of your board meetings that you've now got names coming through pursuant to this Interstate Licensure Compact, and you are approving them to work on Guam pursuant to that. Is that correct, Dr. Berg? Is there?
Yeah, in fact, I think you could see us all smiling. We're really incredibly happy with the way this works. And as a refresher, or for those who may not understand it, it came into effect before you came into office. The Interstate Medical Licensure Compact was a method of decreasing barriers for mobility of physicians within the United States. Other than Canada and a few other countries, once you're licensed in a country, you're licensed in the entire country. That, we are, by definition, the United States of America, right? So it's not America, it's various states that are united and each having their own ability to license within their jurisdictions. And now we are the first territory to be able to join them. We're quite proud of that, actually, because it takes a tremendous amount of work. And in fact, we had legislative help with that, as requiring to change a few things. And what it allows is for a physician to designate a home state. I'll use the word state, but it's a jurisdiction. A home jurisdiction maybe is better. And you say, okay, this is where I predominantly live or predominantly practice, and that board will conduct all of my investigations. And then if that board says I'm okay and I can get complaints from anywhere now, then I will be able to get a license, in essence, automatically if I otherwise qualify. In other words, we get licenses from somebody who, say, lives in Washington State, and the Washington State board says we vet this person as having no issues, and this is their primary state. So any state that gets its application, this person is clean, if you will, and that person is given their license. We don't get the kind of information. We're all a little uneasy the first applications we get, because we don't get other than we get the National Petitioner Data Bank, which talks about their lawsuits and the like, and we get a little bit else, but we don't get primary verification from medical schools and the like, because Washington State says that's our responsibility for this individual. You don't have to do it. We've done it already. And therefore, we streamline the application process. And it's actually, Guam now is recognized as having a board that complies, for example, with the reporting that you mentioned to the National Petitioner Data Bank, other measures that we have to fulfill and be inspected. And that says, okay, now if we have a physician who wants to go and practice in Washington State for whatever reasons, even if it's temporarily, if we say we have vetted that person, we have checked all primary verifications, then they recognize the Guam board's ability to do that. It's resulted actually in the last time, I think, Xenia, I think maybe we had 15 or something like that, 12, 15, who came in through the interstate licensure compact. 18. And so we didn't see anything wrong with them. The home states gave them the okay, and therefore they can practice on Guam. And although it seems a bit scary, we have to trust that the other states are inspected by the Federation of State Medical Boards the same as we are for compliance issues. And it seems a little scary because we're not able to look at those people. We have to trust that the other boards did it, but it therefore opens up Guam to have more people get licensed here. The cumbersome component of getting licensed in various states, particularly if, say, they're coming out to work in the emergency room at Guam Memorial Hospital or to work as in the ICU, we feel as though this is going to open us up to be able to welcome more providers here. We are a health profession shortage area after all, and now we're making it easier for everybody with protective measures in place. And so 18 was a large number, and I felt good about it, a little scared, but okay, but I'm happy with it overall. It's working the way it's supposed to work.
Okay, great. Yeah, so just for my colleagues, again, this just, the law's been in place for a while, but they actually started approving beginning November 2019 or December, yeah.
Right, and it's a totally online process, by the way.
All right, thank you. And so now I'm gonna open it up for my colleagues, and then we're gonna have a couple members of the public who wanted to testify regarding oversight. And then after all that, we'll move on to the confirmation hearings. But we'll begin with Vice Speaker Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to wait to hear the members of the public speak, and then I'll have questions after that. Thank you.
All right, Senator Therlaje.
Sujus Masi, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank everyone who's here to provide information for us. And also there's a lot of additional information that I need to also read up that the good chairman is going to provide for us to get more of a grip on what's going on here. I know that there's some concerns, and maybe I've known you for years, and I've heard the issues with the Board of Allied Health Board, and definitely a prosecutor is much needed. But other than just really getting my head